Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So we have just had a very brief government shutdown. I'm sure you've all heard all about it. So what basically happened is that Trump decided that he was going to use the DREAM Act as leverage to get funding for his wall to get built. His ridiculous southern border wall, which if you remember, was going to be paid for by Mexico and not us. But yeah, so much for that shit, right? I guess it's just another lie by fucking Trump. And, Republicans, do you even give a shit that, you're on the hook for this fucking wall that he said you weren't going to pay for? Okay, I guess not, right? Apparently Trump can fucking do anything and Republicans won't get mad at him. I bet he could rape a baby on live TV and Republicans wouldn't get mad at him. But anyway, let's move on. So, the Democrats held out in order to get funding for DACA, right? The DREAM Act. Because it's the right thing to do, okay? I mean, that's what the DREAM Act is basically, imagine that you came as a child, let's say 2, 3, 4, and you've been in this country for all this time, and then suddenly now you're getting deported. And you're getting forced to go back to a country that you've never been to. They have basically no roots in. Some of these people don't even speak the language of these native countries, right? So it's basically, they're for all intents and purposes American, right? We're kicking them out of the country. These aren't criminals, these aren't drug dealers, right? A lot of them are adults. That's another thing. They're not all children. A lot of them have been in the country for decades, and now they're getting kicked out, and it's fucking wrong. It's just wrong. Long story short, the Democrats caved, and the government funding has continued, right? But if you actually read the news and you see what happened, they were ready to cave even before the shit started, right? The Democrats basically gave the Republicans everything they wanted, last week, right? Before everything shut down, they offered everything, and all they wanted in return was funding for DACA, right? And apparently they actually managed to reach a deal, and they walked out, and then Stephen Miller went in and convinced Trump otherwise. And that kind of leads me to believe that there was a reason why Trump wanted to shut the government down. If you really think about it, what was happening last week? Nobody was talking about this because we were all talking about Shitholegate. You remember that? Shitholegate. I was about to make a video on that, and then the fucking government shut down. It's like, so much shit happens in the Trump White House on an almost daily basis that one scandal, comes along and knocks the other scandal out of the news. And that's what I think happened. If you notice now, it basically, it only went for 3 days, right, and then it's back, okay? It wasn't 2 weeks or however long it was last time during the Obama administration, or the same when it was during Clinton. It was just like a weekend, weekend and Monday. Well, why? Why would you take the same deal that you rejected 3 days earlier, right? I really think it was to distract from people. I think it was because Trump was getting murdered in the press over Shitholegate, right? And now that's gone. Now that's out of the news. Now everybody's talking about the government shutdown because it's much bigger news. And it's unfucking real, So that's I mean, think about that. I would be very surprised if that didn't factor into, whether the timing or whether or not they should take the deal or not, let the government shut down. So when the government shuts down, lots of things happen. People don't get paid. Certain people still have to work and they don't get paid, like soldiers, right? Inspectors, safety inspectors, shit like that, right? Programs shut down, right? Things like environmental regulations can't be enforced during that time. And yeah, granted, it was only 3 days, but the longer it goes on, basically the worse it gets for the country. And, eventually markets and shit start, feeling the hit, and then there's pressure to fucking get the government going. And it's like, just think about what that says, what they're willing to toy with in order to get what they want. A government shutdown can result in very bad things for a lot of people, You know, people's lives matter here. You know, people who can't get health, care and shit like that because the government's shut down. It's like a lot of that, like people could potentially be hurt. A lot of people, and they used it as a fucking bargaining chip. That's who we're dealing with. That's who the Republicans are. See, and here's the thing: is that Republicans see the government as, a beast that must be destroyed, right? Whereas Democrats see the government as a tool that you use to, run the country with, right? So that's why they're so willing to compromise. And I think they should have let it go longer. I think they should have said, fuck it, we'll just let the government go for another week. And they should have kept it shut down all the way through Trump's fucking State of the Union speech. That's what I would have done if I was in charge. And then, I would have I would have gone back with the exact same deal, right after that. But, that's the Democrats fucking just basically have no spines. And it's like, and I'm hearing that a lot on the internet. They're weak. They don't have any spines, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you see the reasons why they want to deal so much, I really think that a lot of the Democrats actually care about people, right? They care about people and they know that their constituents depend on them, right? Whereas the Republicans don't care about people and know their constituents will vote for them just to fucking piss off Democrats. All right, that's the difference. Democrats have to earn their voters' vote and respect, and people won't vote for them if they don't do what the voters tell them to do. Republicans will always get people to vote for them because they're like a fucking cult. All right, that's the difference. That's why it didn't win this time. And when you look at the news, basically headlines across the country are in agreement that the Democrats lost this time, because they did. Basically, they caved. They gave Trump everything he wanted. The border wall, right? So now we're fucking paying for a stupid ass border wall. They gave him all of that for a promise, right? A promise to vote on DACA in February, which is not going to fucking happen. It's not going to happen. Mitch McConnell promised them. When was the last time Mitch McConnell ever kept a promise? All right, bullshit. Okay, it's not gonna fucking happen. So if you're a dreamer in this country, if you're somebody who came here, as a small child and has a job and pays taxes and fucking has lived here your whole life, and you possibly, maybe you don't speak Spanish, maybe you don't even have any family in, whatever country south of the border you can't, your parents brought you from, Mexico, Guatemala, wherever, right? Get ready to be deported. It's gonna happen, and for all of you fucking Democrats and progressives and shit who fight against this is what happens, right, when you don't fucking vote. This is what happens when the guy who gets the less amount of votes becomes president. All right. This is what happens when Republicans are in charge of all three branches of government. Maybe now you'll fucking learn. All right. I think really, I'm gonna end with this point because I gotta end it because I gotta go to work here. What I really think is that this last election to 2016, we just went through 8 years of a pretty semi-decent president, Obama, all right? I mean, I'm probably willing to say that he's the best president we've had in the last 40 years since, I don't even know. I mean, at least since Reagan, right? I'd say he's a much better president than Reagan was, policy-wise. But anyway, he was probably in my lifetime the best president that we've had, right? And things got way better under Obama. Okay, the economy improved by leaps and bounds. I mean, I don't know if you remember 2008, how fucking the money was on fire and jobs are getting flushed down the toilet, right? We legalized gay marriage, right? Marijuana started being legalized in various places around the country. By the time he was leaving, ISIS was on its way out. Okay, they concentrated efforts, finally started, making some progress. And within a year after he was gone, ISIS is destroyed, okay? you can't give Trump all the credit for that. I mean, you can give him some for continuing the policies that were already there, right? But, you know, the writing was on the wall, okay, by January 2017. All right, Obama did a lot of good things for this country. You know, maybe some things that weren't so good as far as domestic spying and shit like that. But, you know, social issues, right? Fucking managed to raise taxes on people on the 1% for healthcare. You know, Obamacare, a lot of that. I mean, we didn't have shit before Obamacare. And so no matter how shitty Obamacare was, at least you can get insurance now when, you know, you have a pre-existing condition. At least your insurance is not allowed to kick you off anymore. Like, we didn't have that, okay, in 2008, all right? So a lot of good things have happened during his term. And I think a lot of the kids who turned 18 and were voting for the first time, right, where they've never experienced how shitty life can actually be when the Republicans are in charge. They don't remember the Bush years. Like, they don't understand. They've never lived through a Republican, you know, administration. And now it's now we don't even just have a Republican administration. We have a fucking deranged, you know, crazy person, semi-fascist there. Right? Which I'm thinking of doing a video on that too. Trump is essentially just a fascist in everything but name at this point. And, you know, there's a lot of parallels, but that's the next video that's coming. And it's like, and I think now, you know, maybe they'll learn. Maybe they'll see when you get, you know, these negative headlines every fucking day. When you see the ridiculous things this guy does, how he fucks our standing up in the fucking world, right? You know, they're like the British, they won't even let him go to they won't even let him go to England anymore, right? You know, all the environmental regulations that he's removed, you know, drilling in fucking the Arctic Wildlife Reserve, you know, the Alaskan Wildlife Reserve. I mean, are you fucking kidding, right? You know, like offshore drilling everywhere except in Florida because you don't want to fuck up his golf course, you know. That's very telling. It's like, oh, you can do it everywhere except right outside of my property. Yeah, right. I mean, just you know, maybe they'll learn. Maybe they'll learn how badly these people can fuck everything up. And maybe they'll see that the parties are not the same. All right. And when you get, you know, the next election where whoever he's running against, if he decides to, you know, run again, hopefully he fucking won't. But if he does, maybe now you'll be a little more motivated and get out there and vote. And even if it's not for the exact same fucking person that you want, you know, maybe it's not Bernie Sanders. Hopefully it is. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it's some other person, Cory Booker or some shit. And you go, well, this guy sucks because of XYZ. Just, remember what we're fucking fighting against. And do you want a guy that will give you a little bit of what you want, or do you want a guy who's going to take away everything that you want? All right. That's the, you know, and you got to start thinking about the fucking world, okay? The country and the world needs us to get politically active, all right? Needs us to go out there and vote, right? They need us to call our fucking senators. They need us to fucking, like, you know, do something. Get out there, you know, get involved. So anyway, I don't know, folks, just to wrap this up, right? It's just sad to see the Democrats folding like a card table yet again, you know. But, you know, we're not, I mean, I could see why the Tea Party tactic failed for them, because they're not the Tea Party, right? They actually give a shit about people, okay? And, you know, it's sort of like when you're fighting the school bully, you know, and you try to be a bigger bully. That doesn't usually work, right? Usually you have to just fucking overpower them, right? And that's what we got to do. We need to overpower them with a tidal wave of fucking people coming out to vote in 2018. That's all I got. Adios, folks.